Hey everyone, you're watching the Esperanza 243. This is part 10 of the Westing game. Hey ya! So in this video, I'll be reading for 30 minutes. Exciting! Or at least the video will be 30 minutes. I'll probably read for 25 minutes actually. So, I believe in part 9, we got to learn what we got. Four pairs of clues, or we got clues from 4 pairs, I should say. And those words are, the first pair had plain, for, grain, shed, or at least the 4 pair that we learned from. The second pair, they had sea, S-E-A, mountain, am, O, just the letter O. The third pair we learned from was they had purple, fruited, waves, for, F-O-R, sea, S-E-A. And the fourth pair we learned from, they had his, N, on, to, T-O, the, T-H-E-E, and for, F-O-R. And that's actually where we are with the fourth pair, who are Theo and Doug, the fourth pair that we learned from, I should say. And that's actually where we are. We're figuring out what they're thinking. Maybe they're numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, Theo guessed. I still say on is no, the bored track star said. He clasped his hands behind his head, leaned back in the coffee shop booth, and stretched his long legs under the opposite bench. And no is what we got. No real clues, no leads, no will. After 3 cups of coffee, 2 pastries, and a bowl of rice pudding with cream, Sadell Pulaski had offered nothing in return. Theo refused to give up. Are you sure you didn't see anything unusual at the Westing house that night? I didn't kill Westing, if that's what you mean. And the only unusual thing I saw was Turtle Wexler. I think the pest is madly in love with me. How's that for luck? Oh, sorry, that was Doug. Get serious, Doug. One of the heirs is the murderer. We could all get killed. Just because somebody zapped the old man doesn't mean he's going to kill again. Dad says... Doug paused. His father's comment about awarding a medal to the murderer might be incriminating. Theo tried another tack. I was playing chess with somebody in the game room last night. Who? That's what's strange. I don't know who. We'll have to find out which one of the heirs plays chess. Since when is chess playing evidence for murder? For murder? Well, it's something to go on, Theo replied. And another thing, the will said no 2 sets of clues are alike. Maybe all the clues put together make one message, a message that points to the murderer. Somehow or other we'll have to get the heirs to pull the clues. Oh, sure, the killer can't wait to hand over the clues that will hang him. Doug rose. Snowbound or not, he had to stay in shape for the track meet. For the rest of the day he jogged through the hallways and up and down stairs, scaring the nervous tenants half out of their wits. Judge J.J. Ford had no doubts that the clues she shared with the doorman were meant for her. But Sam Westing could toss off sharper insults than skies, am, shining, brother. His choice of words must have been limited. Therefore, these clues were part of a longer statement. A statement that named a name, the name of the murderer. No, Westing could not have been murdered. If his life had been threatened, if he had been in danger of any kind, he would have insisted on police protection. He owned the police. He owned the whole town. Sam Westing was not the type to let himself get killed. Not unless he was insane. The judge opened the envelope given her name by the incompetent Plum. A certificate of sanity dated last week. Having thoroughly examined, keen mind and memory, excellent physical condition. Signed, Sidney Sykes, MD. Sykes. That sounded familiar. The judge scanned the obituary she had cut from Saturday's newspaper. Samuel Westing and his friend, Dr. Sidney Sykes, were involved in a near-fatal automobile accident. Both men were hospitalized with severe injuries. Sykes resumed his Westingtown medical practice and the post of county coroner, but Westing disappeared from sight. Sykes was Westing's friend, and she remembered a witness to the will. But he was also a physician in good standing. She would accept his opinion on Westing's sanity, for the time being at least. Back to the clues. Look at her, the big-time judge, fussing over scraps of Westing's super-strength paper towels. Forget the clues, she said aloud, rising from her desk to put her about the room. Nibbling on a macaroon, she stacked the used coffee cups on a tray. If only that Pulaski person had let her study the will. That's where the real clues were buried, among the veiled threats and pompous promises, the slogans and silliness in that hodgepodge of a will. In his will, Sam Westing implied, he did not state, he implied, that 1. He was murdered, 2. The murderer was one of his heirs, 3. He alone knew the name of the murderer, and 4. The name of the murderer was the answer to the game. The game. A tricky, divisive, Westing game. No matter how much fear and suspicion he instilled in the players, Sam Westing knew that greed would keep them playing the game until the murderer was captured and punished. Sam Westing was not murdered, but one of his heirs was guilty of some offense against a relentless man. And that heir was in danger. From his grave, Westing would stalk his enemy, and through his heirs, he would wreak his revenge. Which one? Which heir was the target of Westing's vindictiveness? In the name of justice, she would have to find Westing's victim before the others did. She would have to learn everything she could about each one of the heirs. Who are they, and how they did their lives touch Westing's? These 16 strangers whose only connection with one another was Sunset Towers. Sunset Towers. She'd start from there. Good, the telephones are working again. The number she dialed was answered on the first ring. Hi there, this is a recording of yours truly, Barney Northrup. I'm at your service. As soon as I get back in my office, that is. Just sing out your problem to old Barney here when you hear the beep. Beep! J.J. Ford hung up without singing out her problem to old Barney. He, too, could be involved in Westing's plot. The newspaper. She would try the newspaper. Surely someone was snowbound there. After 8 rings, a live voice answered. We usually don't supply that kind of information over the phone, but since it's you, Judge Ford, I'll be happy to oblige. Just spell out the names and I'll call back if I find anything. Thank you. I'd appreciate that. It was a beginning. Sam Westing was dead, but maybe just once she could beat him at his own game. His last game. Having found what she wanted in Turtle's desk, Angela returned to her frilly bedroom where Sidel Pulaski, glasses low on her nose, was perched on a ruffled stool at the vanity table, smearing blue shadow on her eyelids. First we tackle our own clues, the secretary said, frowning at the result in the threefold mirror. Unlucky from the day she was born, she now had a beautiful and well-loved partner. There was always the chance that they alone had been given the answer. She unsealed the envelope and held it out to Angela. Take one. Angela removed the first clue. Good. Now it was Siddell's turn. Glory be! She exclaimed, thinking she had the name of the murderer. Her thumb was covering the letter D. The word was hood. Angela's turn. The third clue was from. Siddell's turn. The fourth clue was spacious. The fifth and last clue was. Angela uttered a low moan. Her hand shook as she passed the paper to her partner. The fifth and last clue was Grace. Grace, that's your mother's name, isn't it? Siddell said. Well, don't worry, that clue doesn't mean your mother is the murderer. The will says it is not what you have, it's what you don't have that counts. The secretary had not yet transcribed the shorthand, but she had read it through several times before hiding the notebook in a safe place. By the way, are you really related to Mr. Raskin? Angela shrugged. Siddell assumed that meant no, and turned to the clues. Good, Grace, from, hood, spacious. The only thing I can figure from these clues is good gracious from hood space. As soon as the parking lot is shoveled out, we'll peek under the hoods of all the cars. A map or more clues may be hidden there. Maybe even the murder weapon. Now, let's hear about the other clues. Angela reported on the clues gathered in the game room and during the day's comings and goings. King, Queen, Otis Amber said. King Otis and Queen Crow. Purple waves. Mother switched 2 clues around when Sandy mentioned those words. On, or no. Doug and Theo could not decide whether that clue was right side up or upside down. Grains. Chris Theodorakis thinks that clue refers to Otis Amber. You know, grains, oats. MT. Angela showed her partner the crumpled scrap of paper she had picked up along with Siddell's dropped crutch during Floramba Bach's tea party. 500 shares MT at $6 equals 3,000. Broker's commission equals plus 90. $3,090. I checked Turtle's diary. She's not following any stock with a symbol like MT, so it must be one of her clues. MT could stand for either mountain or empty. Excellent, Siddell Pulaski remarked. Her partner was beautiful, but not dumb. Read all the clues together now. Good, hood, from spacious, Grace, king, queen, purple waves. On, no. Grains, mountain, empty. Siddell was disappointed. It is not what you have, it's what you don't have that counts. And what we don't have is a verb. Nothing makes sense without a verb. What about the judge? Judge Ford thought her clues were an insult, and she said something about playing a pawn in Westing's game. and she had a clipping of the obituary on her desk. This obituary. Angela handed Sidel the newspaper taken from Turtle's drawer. What's that? It was a knock on the front door. It was footsteps in the living room. It was Theo. Anyone for a game of chess? He asked, leaning through the bedroom doorway. No, thank you, Sidel replied, looking very busy. Theo smiled shyly at Angela and left. Sidel read the obituary in Turtle's newspaper. The words $200 million were underlined, but she found a more interesting item. Sam Westing was a master at chess. No wonder Theo's so interested. Do you know anything about the game, Angela? A little, she replied slowly, putting the pieces in order. The judge says she's a pawn, and Otis Amber says he's the king, and Crow's the queen. Oh well, it's probably just a coincidence. We can't leave any stone unturned, Sidel insisted, as the will says the object of the game to win. What did you say? Object of the game to win. How about object of the game, twin? Maybe the murderer is a twin. Twin! Sidel liked that. The only problem would be getting the murderer to admit that he or she is a twin. Let's get back to my apartment. It's time I transcribed those notes. Angela helped the invalid to her feet and nervously peered in both directions before stepping into the hallway. Sidel chuckled at her timidity. There's nothing to be scared of, Angela. Westing was murdered for his money, and we're not rich yet. And by the time we get the money from the estate, the murderer will be locked up in jail. In spite of the impeccable logic, Angela looked back over her shoulder several times on the way to 3C. Strange. Sidel stood before her open apartment door. She had slammed it shut on leaving, but had not locked the dead bolt. After all, not even a burglar could get into a snowbound building unless... Angela, too frightened to notice that Sidel ran through the apartment with her crutch in the air, found her apartment and the bathroom frantically tossing soiled towels from the hamper. Sidel Pulaski stared at the bare wicker bottom, then sank to the rim of the bathtub, shaking her head in disbelief. Someone in Sunset Towers had stolen the shorthand notebook. Chapter 9. Lost and Found. Early the next morning, a typed index card was tacked to the elevator's back wall. Lost. Important business papers of no value to anyone but the owner. Please return to Sidel Pulaski 3C. No questions asked. The shorthand notebook was not returned, but the idea of a bulletin board was an instant success. By late afternoon, the elevator was papered with notices and filled with tenants facing sideways and backwards, reading as they rode up and down. Lost, silver cross on filigree chain, topaz pin, and earrings, gold-filled cufflinks, returned to Grace Windsor Wexler's 3D reward. All players willing to discuss sharing their clues come to the coffee shop tomorrow at 10 a.m. Whoever stole my Mickey Mouse clock better give it back. Just leave it in the hall in front of apartment 3D when no one's looking. Turtle Wexler. Order down, not up. Or come on up to the 5th floor and dine in elegance at Shin Ho's restaurant, specializing in exquisite Chinese cuisine. Lost, string of pearls, sentimental value. If found, please bring them to apartment 2C. Thank you, Florum Bambak. Dressmaking and alterations reasonably priced. Found 6 clues. The following clues, printed on squares of Westing toilet tissue, were found in the third-floor hallway. Sit down. Braided, kicking, tortoise, sigh, a, brat. Those are not clues. It's an insult. I am having an informal party this evening from 8 o'clock on. You are all invited. Please come. J.J. Ford, Apartment 4D. Turtle, wherever you are, be home at 7:30 sharp. Your loving mother. Mom, I'm home. No one else was. On reading Mrs. Wexler's notes in the elevator, Flora Bumbach had insisted, you must do what your mother says. When Turtle replied, like showing her our clues, Flora Bumbach's answer was, perhaps so. After all, she is your mother. Flora Bumbach was sappy, always smiling that dumb smile, always so polite to everybody, and so timid. When they had finally reached a snowbound broker, Flora Bumbach was so nervous she dropped the telephone. The Turtle had to admit to some nervousness herself, but it was the first real order she had ever placed. For a minute there, she thought she might choke on the thumping heart that had jumped into her throat. But she had pulled off the transaction like a pro. Now, if only the stock market would go up, she'd show Mr. Westing about refining gold. The next part of the will would read, whichsoever pair made the most money with the $10,000 inherits the whole estate. She was sure of it. Oh, there you are. Grace Wexler acted as if Turtle was the tardy one, but she quickly sweetened. Come, dear, let's go to your room and I'll fix your hair. Her mother sat behind her on the edge of the narrow bed, loosed the dark brown hair, and brushed it to a gloss. She had not done that with such care in a long, long time. Have you eaten? Mrs. Bumbach made me a dinner. Turtle felt the fingers dividing the hair into strands. Her mother was so warm, so close. Your poor father's probably starving. He's been so busy on the phone, changing appointments and all. Daddy's eating in the coffee shop. I just saw him there. Turtle had dashed and shouting, the braided tortoise strikes again! And kicked a surprised Theo in the shin. It was Doug Ho, not Theo, who had made the sign. Her mother twisted the 3 strands into a braid. I think you should wear your I think you should wear your party dress tonight. You look so pretty in pink. Pretty? She had never used that word before, not about her. What's going on? You know, sweetheart, I'm rather hurt that you won't tell your own mother about your clues. So that was it. She should have known. My lips are sealed, Turtle said defiantly. Just one eensy-beensy clue? Grace wheedled, winding a rubber band around the end of the braid. Turtle replied through sealed lips. Angela came into the small room and tugged Turtle's braid. Only her sister could get away with that. So that's why Turtle keeps kicking people. Because only Angela can do it. Makes sense now. Beaming on her favorite, Grace took her hand and gasped, Angela, where's your engagement ring? I have a rash on my finger. Thump, thump. Sidel Pulaski appeared in the hallway. Hi, what's everybody doing in the closet? See, I told you this is a closet, Turtle said. Grace ignored the complaint. It did no good being nice to that ungrateful child, never satisfied, always whining about something or other. Oh, hello, Miss Pulaski. I've been feeling a bit weakly, thank you, but nothing can keep me from a party. Siddell's crutch was painted in black and white squares to match her black and white checkered dress. Her large hoop earrings were also black and white. The white one dangled from her left ear, the black from her right. The party is such a lovely idea, Grace said, warming up to the owner of the shorthand notes. When I saw the invitation in the elevator, I suggested to Mr. Ho that he call the judge to see if she needed hors d'oeuvres, and sure enough, he got an order for 6 dozen. She turned to Angela. Hadn't you better get dressed, dear? It's getting late. It's too bad Dr. D can't escort you to the party, but your father and I will take you. Angela and I are going together. We're partners, you know. Siddell had it all planned. They were to appear in identical costumes. Tonight was the night they would discover if one of the heirs was a twin. I'm going to the party with Mrs. Baumbach. The sign said everyone's invited. Turtle remarked. Again, Grace ignored her. By the way, Miss Pulaski, I do hope you've changed your mind about showing me your notes. It was the secretary's turn to seal her lips. She wouldn't put it past that uppity Grace Windsor Wexler to steal the notebook from an unfortunate cripple and then rub it in. Grace tried again, her voice dripping with honey. You know, of course, that if I do win the inheritance, everything I own goes to Angela. Turtle bounded up. Let me out of here! A person can't breathe in this closet! She kicked at the bed, kicked at the chair, kicked at the desk, and elbowed past the disapproved secretary. Oh! What in the world is wrong with that child? Her mother said. Well, I have an idea. Do you? Judge Ford was instructing Theo in the art of bartending when the telephone rang. The snowbound newspaperman had found several items in the files. Yeah, I think I'm going to stop there because the next few paragraphs are kind of incriminating, actually. So, I will talk to you guys later. The next video will be parts 11. I do hope you have a great day. If not, morning, afternoon, evening, or night. Jim Carrey style. This is the Esperanza 243 signing out.